What are you saying, bro? You ready for another lesson?
Man, I can't wait, man. It's been a while, So.
That's a screw.
You can even tell already, you know?
Hey, right rudder, that's it.
Wheel 01, you can backtrack now.
Needs to be over the field in between the two.
Alright.
What do you know about increasing the angle of bank?
Full speed.
Exactly.
You're fine, you're on the centre line, and then suddenly you're not, bro.
Next time you're in a grass, bro.
That landing. Whew. I'm worn out.
Are you aiming to be a commercial pilot?
Yes, at some point.
Yes, so these calls, they have to be made in a commercial environment. Well done, mate. You're going to make a good commercial pilot.
Thank you.
I'll walk up behind the aircraft.
You're very behind the aircraft. We've got a fuel leak. Have we? Yeah.
By the way, go to the whiskey, sorry. The whiskey is quite strong. Mate, you're going to make a good commercial pilot.
You still have control.
No, you tell me when you want to take control. You tell me when you want to take control.
Ever? Do I have to?
Yes. As I say so. Bear in mind, you're going to have to work with what you've got, normally. What do you need?
This one. Oh. I'll make use of what I've got.
Previously on Future Pilot 901.
Okay, how you feeling?
Feeling good?
Good. You're gonna go solo.
Okay. Student Will 08 is ready for departure. We are off.
Student Wheel 08, surface wind is 330 at 9 knots, we've got one to vacate.
Student Will 08.
Charlie Kilo, right base, get out to land. Student Wheel 08, minute takes and well done.
This aircraft is so nice to fly with.
Yeah, very nice.
Victor Golf, clear 20 starting Victoria airspace now in the climb task chute 3, down for feet, heading 090 degrees.
Yes, 3,000 feet is very nice and smooth.
Yeah.
It's not like in the cloud.
Victor Golf, resume our location, Sierra Leone. December the procedure report on both flights established.
The whole point of getting your IMC is you fly clouds. That's sort of where we are roughly. See?
Okay.
So we came in for an approach on runway 23. We did a missed approach, and now we're being vectored around to do another approach into runway 23.
Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of becoming a pilot, but could never afford it. One day I decided to stop making excuses, to sacrifice my comfort, to make my dream happen. My name is Dee, and this is my journey. This is Future Pilot 901. Yes. Happy Tuesday. I nearly said happy Monday just then. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy Tuesday as I just get set up here. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Future Pilot 901, where we keep our fingers on the pulse of general aviation every week, usually on a Monday, 7 p.m. British sometime. I bring you a live show where we discuss some of the updates in aviation, as well as just talking about some things that will allow us to be better pilots. Or at the very least, I know it's helping me, so I hope it's helping you. Now, I know it's a new week. We didn't do our show yesterday because I was out flying. and I can't wait to tell you more about that. We got a packed out show today. I have a packed out show full of information, including catch you up on some of the updates from the week. Then also telling you a bit about my transit through not South End, through Stanstead's airspace. So we're going to be talking about transiting Stanstead airspace and what that was like, because that was an experience for sure. Got a few aviation updates for you, including the airprocs, July airprocs, dealing with drones, and that's really important to know, especially if we're flying GA, because they could be a hazard to our safety and safe flying. Of course, we're looking at the book Performance Pilot, and I've got some feedback for you guys. I've got a little bit of a mini review for you guys because I tried out some of the exercises that we talked about last week. So find out a bit more about that. And of course, we've got the second half of the Air Safety Bulletin that was delivered or published over the last couple of weeks. So as I said, we've got a packed out show. And of course, I'm grateful that you've joined me today. Thank you to you. You're the star. You make this happen. So thank you for being here. I definitely appreciate your presence. Wow, it's been an incredible week. I actually usually feel like it's so long between episodes. It's just a week, but it feels so long because there's just so much that happens in between. I almost forget how to do this every week. But I'm hoping that with time, with more practice comes progress. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make a surprise announcement. Today, I'm going to open this up to you guys, to the viewers of Future Pilot 901 Live. As you know, I've got the Live Your Dream hats. You've got the white hats. You've got the blue hats. And of course, you have the classic original black hat. If you would like to enter the draw to get yourself a free Live Your Dream hat, what you need to do is comment, whether on YouTube, by the way, we're live on Kick and YouTube, drop a comment on the YouTube channel and just type in Live Your Dreams. And that will enter you into the draw to win a free Live Your Dream hat. And you will have your choice on the color, okay? So I'm gonna make that available to you guys. So if you want a Live Your Dream hat, then make sure that you drop a comment, not in the chat, okay? A comment on the video. A comment on the video saying live your dreams on YouTube channel. And that will enter you into a draw to win one of these. And of course, as I said, you'll get to choose which color you want, the black, the white, or the blue. My personal favorite is the white. And I found a way to wash the hats. Found a way to wash the hats, so I'm very, very happy about that. In fact, I'll put it on just now. There we go. So let's get into this. So the last week has been amazing. I've had a couple of flights. And best of all, I've introduced 7 people to general aviation, and that brings so much joy to me. My family came, my brother, my 2 nieces came from Sweden to visit us, so I'll take them on a flight and surprise them. So they really enjoyed that. One of them even fell asleep, even though it was bumpy. Then a couple of days later, I flew my sister and my 2 nieces and my nephew as well. So that's good fun. Got them enjoying the flight. Again, 2 of them fell asleep. So that was interesting. And it was, again, a bumpy day. But I'll take that as a compliment to my flying. But yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great on the D side of things. It's been nice on my side of things. You know, I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It was bank holiday weekend in the UK. And that usually means carnival, right? For the summer bank holiday. So did you guys go to the carnival? Did you guys go to carnival? Yeah, I haven't been to the carnival. I haven't been to the carnival for the last few years. So yesterday I was at the airfield, flew my sister, finished flying. I was like, okay, it's time to go home. Started packing up, put all my GoPros away. And then I see somebody that recognized me before I recognized him. We'd flown before. And he said, oh, you're Dee, right? I was like, oh yeah, I remember you, bro. How's it going? Yeah, I'm good. What are you doing down here at the airfield? And he said he was waiting for Khalid. Khalid was a scholar at the same time as me from the Honorable Company of Air Pilots. And Khalid, who basically was flying into North Wales. So I said, oh, actually, no worries. Like, I'll wait and actually see him. I didn't know he was coming to North Wales. So I waited. He landed, we met. Nice, beautiful day, clear skies yesterday, a bit gusty, a bit of a crosswind, but otherwise amazing. And he said, I'm going to, Duxford. I said, do you know what? I'm just going to hop on a plane and follow you. How about that? So I hopped on a plane and followed him. And we said, okay, as we were kind of planning it really quickly, right there on the asphalt, at North Wales, I said, do you know what? Why don't we do a zone transit through Stanstead? Yeah, I thought it would be like a zone transit through Southend. It wasn't. And I'll tell you guys more about that in just a short while. If you don't know, I did an interview with Young Sky Pioneers. Shout out to Young Sky Pioneers. If you don't know about that, I'm going to show you where it is. Young Sky Pioneers. If you have a look on the Young Sky Pioneers page, there you go. Dee Limbaya, A Relentless Odyssey. So if you want to have a listen to that podcast, I talk a little bit about my story, some of the things that helped me to be able to persevere on my journey to getting my pilot's license. Maybe useful to you. Definitely give them a subscribe. Young Sky Pioneers, they do some amazing stuff. If you want information on becoming, on getting your PPL, if you want your information on becoming a pilot, it's a great resource with a bunch of really passionate, aviators and aviation enthusiasts. Right. Now that we've got rid of the people that we don't want on the podcast, it's time for us to have a serious chat and get into serious business. Let's get this show started. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So first up, why don't we talk about zone transit through Stanstead? Now, let's start with basics. Where is Stanstead? Let me share this with you guys. Okay, so flying out of Northfield. Is it going to allow me to do this? 1 second. Technical difficulties. I'm going to have to... What is happening here? No. Okay, got it. Let's have a look. I've sorted it out. You know what it is. Like doing a live show, there's always these kind of issues to navigate, but we are resilient. So check this out. So flying from Northfield, usually out to Chipping-Ongar, then the idea was Berners Lake, Audley End Railway, Duxford, right? But we thought, you know what, actually, it might take us a while to get clearance, so maybe actually we extend that to Chelmsford. So that's what we did. But still request that zone transit. So that was the plan that we made. And this is what happened. Check it out. All those aircraft. Now, this is me crossing runway 22 threshold. But how did I get there? That was the tricky part. So let's talk through the radios. You got what's that line there? I think we did one. So let's talk through the radios. What happened on the radios? Now, back to this. In case you're flying this trip, you might want to know this, and it's definitely a good review for me as well. So out from Northfield, getting service from Northfield Radio, then I swapped to Stanstead radar 120625, something like that. Look it up, and requested. Now, what they actually said to me is that I couldn't go my routing, but they could direct me through Canfield. So instead, they sent me through Canfield. Now, when I went to Canfield, because I was flying with Khaled, we were on a different frequency just to talk to each other, right? So we're on 123.45, kind of just, making sure, have you done your call? Not yet. Okay, whereabouts are you? Just kind of keeping tabs on where we are, because we're not doing a formation flight, but we're flying together, right? And so I get cleared into Stanstead controlled airspace. I'm over Canfield circling, right? Because they want to sequence me correctly so that, they maintain safety and all that good jazz. Now, whilst I'm circling Chelmsford, before I even get clearance to go in, they call me. But I respond on the wrong frequency because I was listening to Stanstead radar, but I was actually transmitting on 123.45, which only Cali could hear. So I responded, but they didn't hear me. They called me again. They called me again. They called me again. And then I actually realized I switched frequency and I called back. And they were like, look, I called you 3 times. If you can't do this, then you're going to have to take another way. I was like, all right, okay, getting told off because it was busy. It was busy. Like there's aircrafts landing, taking off, literally one after the other. So eventually, I just decided to stay on frequency and not have that happen again. I got cleared into Stanstead controlled airspace and had to circle over Canfield. Now, when I got to Canfield, what they wanted from me was for me to have visual, the field in sight. Of course, I got to Canfield. I said the field is in sight. Then they had me circling. Now, they wanted me to get one of the aircrafts on final in sight, about 4 mile final. So that as soon as I had that on sight and it touched down, I was cleared to cross. But I had to cross runway 22 threshold. That's where I had to cross, right? Because I guess, for descending aircrafts, that's the lowest point. For departing aircrafts, that's the lowest point. So it makes sense to cross there. And I had to remain, I had to be not above 2,000 feet, okay? Once I then crossed, do you know what? I just thought, right, let me just get out of the airspace. I actually routed directly out of the airspace, right? Before proceeding toward the end. Now, importantly, I just thought I'd be speaking to Stanstead radar and then they would send me off, which is kind of a bit like doing a zone transit at Southend, but that's not what happened. What they actually did was as I approached from Canfield, they sent me to Stanstead Tower. And Stanstead Tower then got me to cross. And then Stanstead Tower sent me to Stanstead Director. So then I had to get to Stanstead Director. And then once I was about here, because I was kind of figuring out the frequency because I didn't have my frequencies ready. Normally I'm super prepared, but because this was like a last minute flight, I just thought, oh yeah, I'll just get Stanstead radar. That's fine. Nope. Stanstead radar sent me to Tower. Tower sent me to Director. Then from Director, I requested to change to Duxford. Change to Duxford. By the time I'm calling Duxford, I'm like around here, and I had to like circle. I had to circle back around just to avoid going into the ATZ before they knew where I was. And then I got in here. Then of course it's a downwind, and it was left hand circuit for runway 24, and I landed with a mad crosswind. But yeah, so that was the experience at Stanstead. That was definitely a challenge. It was a big challenge for sure. So if you're planning to do that zone transit through Stanstead, definitely be up on your radios, because if you sound unsure, if you're like slow in your response, they're just going to boot you. They're just probably going to boot you and ask you to go a different way, or they'll be just antsy with you potentially. Again, because they've got a ton of traffic that they're sequencing, and they just need you to kind of get on with it and do what you're supposed to, respond in time, etc., etc. So yeah, definitely practice. I would recommend that if you wanted to practice zone transit in this area, you're better off doing it you're better off doing Southend. They don't have as much traffic, and yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. But if you want a challenge, do Stanstead. It was definitely enjoyable. It was enjoyable, very enjoyable, and the view was incredible as well, and surreal, very surreal. So that was your Stanstead Zone Transit debrief. Definitely something to do again in the future. Sadly, because I was not expecting to do this flight, all my cameras had low battery and I did not film any. So hopefully next time I will actually plan this and film it properly and give you something to look at. Right, back into my flight bag. Imagine you're flying, you've paid for your airline tickets, and you get into your aircraft, you sit down, and you discover a crack in the window. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? So apparently that's what happened in a flight to Ibiza. So passengers got in and they found this, and of course, understandably, they were worried, and that was on a Ryanair flight. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that does look a bit grim, to be fair. I'm not sure I would want to stay in this aircraft, even though I don't know what. Well, apparently they said that the engineers had a look, and they determined that it's still structurally sound. Let's have a look. Aaron Greaves, 32, was en route to the renowned Spanish party Island. He made this shocking discovery of the damage to the plane window. And they were leaving from Manchester to Ibiza. Ryanair staff assured him that there was no cause for alarm. He took a photo, poking his finger through. Yeah, you would do something like that. I might do something like that. He said everyone was scared and no one wanted to sit near it. I saw the crack after opening the window, so it was already there when I got in the plane. The crew came over and told us that the engineer had checked it and it was structurally sound, but they didn't say how it happened. Interesting. Was there a fight beforehand? Was it just kind of pressures on the window? Who knows? I was pretty worried, but it all worked out okay in the end. The airline said, we note that the window reveal, which is used only to protect the window from scratches, was found to be damaged and has since been replaced. Interesting. Well, apparently this is not the only nightmare, and they faced whatever Ryanair flight, blah, 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 sentence after boarding. A passenger boarded the flight with an empty bottle of vodka, and they boarded drunk. Interesting. But that was a side story. The main point is this cracked window apparently was fine. Clearly it's somehow it's built. Listen, I'm still learning all this stuff. Again, I don't come here, if you're new to the show, I don't come here pretending to know everything. But one of the reasons why I do this is so that I can stay abreast of the latest information, get to know some of these things, because when I wanted to fly as a kid, it was just the feeling of flying. So when I got into aviation, I found myself behind a long way. I didn't know different aircraft types. I didn't know all these different companies. I didn't know the different, things that's happening in the world, in the aviation industry around the globe. And so I found myself playing catch up, right? And people saying and referring to things that I'm like, wait, that sounds like I should know what that is, but I have got no clue. And so really, my dream was to become a pilot. My dream was to, be able to be in flight and enjoy that. But there's a lot more that I need to know that may be a factor in the future. So these this show is really a way for me to kind of stay up to date with the latest information. In a way, I kind of think of it like peer study, right? You guys get to join me, and hopefully the fact that I've spoken about some things on this show kind of makes it stick, because sometimes it's nice to get information packaged differently, because sometimes the package helps us to retain the information even better. And of course, me sharing the information makes it more likely for me to retain it. So that's the idea behind this show. So interesting to note. Obviously, next time if I get into an aircraft and I see that, I might be a little bit more confident in the situation. But I may well disembark the plane at that point. Right. The CAA chucked out some information about policy to do with changing ground navigation infrastructure. Let's have a quick look at that. Ground navigation infrastructure. Now, again, this is just to know what I don't know. Do you know about this? Because I don't know about this. Right, policy for changes to the UK ground navigation infrastructure from the CAA. Right, the purpose of this document sets out the policy for changes to the UK ground navigation infrastructure and describes the process and procedures applicable for removing a ground radio navigation aid. It also provides guidance for identifying the impacts on airspace users. All ground-based navigation aids that support the provision of air traffic services are in scope of this policy. Okay. Now, what are we talking about here? Historically, ATS routes were predicated upon significant geographic points that may coincide with the location of a ground-based radio navigation aid or nav aid, such as VOR, DME, and DB. However, since the implementation of performance-based navigation, ATS routes no longer are required to be designed with reference to these nav aids, despite... Okay, I found another typo. Found another typo. CA is not going to like me. Let's go back. However, since the implementation of performance-based navigation, ATS routes are no longer required to be designed with reference to this nav aids. Despite this, they can be used in support of conventional navigation. Cool. Now, what is the most important thing for me in this document? Let's have a look. Any permanent change to the ground navigation aids infrastructure, whether it be relocated or removal of the facility, will require the approval of the CAA. That's really the crux of the matter, right? To ensure that the UK ground navigation infrastructure is adapted to the provision of air traffic service and the safe use of airspace. So that brings me down to this section where there is a flow chart. There's a flow chart of what needs to happen if they're going to remove, and I'm going to zoom into that. So a statement of need is submitted, CAA acknowledged, assessment meeting, CAA notify the sponsors if ACP required, and the next step. ACP required, yes, goes this way. ACP not required, go this way. CAA assessment approves the APAC. CAA issues sponsor change request authority, sponsor to submit the SRG 1430, sponsor to submit ACR to NATS, AIS, and then it's complete. And if ACP required, yes, then CAA to confirm the level. And of course, that brings us to this bit, airspace changes process, and then they can confirm the scalability and requirements. That then leads down to CAA approves the ACP. Yes. Then it goes this way, or CAA approves the ACP. No. Then it's complete, as in it's not approved, and the changes can't be made. Does any of that make sense to me? Probably not. But at least I've seen it now, right? That's the whole point. You can only learn through exposure. The first time you expose yourself to something, it's not really going to make sense. But as you continue to expose yourself to it, there's a lot of reference here. ACR, SRG 1430. Over time, as I kind of break some of these things down, look into them, more knowledgeable you become. And hey, this is the reason why people sometimes who are really good at one thing are afraid of trying another, right? And I've seen this in different ways. Or sometimes people who believe that people look up to them, so in positions of power and authority, they avoid putting themselves in situations that they're not comfortable with, because to learn something new, you have to be a fool, right? You have to be silly. You have to be ignorant. You have to accept the reality that you're ignorant in this subject matter. So you're going to ask some dumb questions. You're going to make some stupid mistakes. You're not going to know what certain basic things mean. And you kind of had to go back and, having been accomplished, and the fact that people are looking up to you, then going back to the beginning and being like, wait, I don't even know the basics. Wait, what is this again? It takes a good level of humility, and definitely I think it's something that is important to practice, because when we lose that humility and we kind of take ourselves too seriously and I can't do a podcast and talk about that because I've got no clue. Well, you can learn, right? So just learn, right? And I love this idea that I heard from someone. Sometimes we're afraid to ask stupid questions, right? But the problem is, if you don't ask the stupid question, then you get to stay stupid. But if you ask the stupid question and you get an answer, then you get to not be stupid anymore, right? So even though it sometimes approaching something new can be, challenging, it's worth it down the line. So there we go. All right. Do you know what? I'm going to change the order. Because that was your aviation update. And now I'd like to share with you. So we've been looking at this book, all right, Performance Pilot. So I want to share with you what I did with the exercises, what I learned from last week. Check it out. I actually haven't watched this back, so if this is dodgy, if this is messed up, if I embarrass myself, well, I guess I embarrass myself. Let's have a look. All right, people. So, as you know, Future Pilot 901 is live every Monday on YouTube and Kick, 7 p.m. British summertime. Now, one of the things that we've been doing is looking at the book Performance Pilot. And in Performance Pilot, there's some exercises that are supposed to improve your performance as a pilot. So here I am going to put those exercises to the test today to see whether I feel better in the flight or not, or maybe it's just gobbledygook. Who knows? But we've got to give it a go and see how it goes. So here I am. I'm going to try these exercises for you. Right. That's the cross crawl. And the whole idea behind that one is that the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. And so by doing cross crawls, what you're doing is you're building up or you're turning up the communication between the
So
two
that was brain
hemispheres.
integration, cross crawl. So now let's do the eyes.
So this is the head and eye motion integration, where you turn your head to one direction and you look in the opposite direction, and
I know I
you
look
do it
crazy
side to side.
at the airfield doing this. Most people walking past thinking, what's this guy doing?
And you do it up and down as well.
Right, let's get that. So, yeah.
Hey, would you guys do this out on the airfield?
It is
When
hard.
people are
I
watching.
think.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, so randomize.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of that.
These are the lazy eights. It's about getting your eyes to follow the motion. And I guess you could film yourself doing it, but what they say in the book is get somebody to watch you. And if there are any kind of rigid points where your eyes kind of stutter, that's something to monitor and try to keep practicing to help you improve. And this is supposed to help with like tracking stuff and just kind of getting better information from your eyes to your brain. And again, there's that connection between like the right side of your brain processing information from
centering
the right side of your brain processing information from your left eye, and the left side of your brain processing information from your right eye. And by doing these exercises, again, it's supposed to integrate and improve the communication between both sides, because one side of your brain deals with the creative, the big picture, and the other side of your brain deals with logic and details and mathematics and that kind of stuff. And in flying, you need both. So then the more you can get both sides of your brain communicating, the better your performance. That's the kind of principle behind it. And we looked at that in more detail in episode 8. By the way, did I mention this was episode 9 of Future Pilot 901 Live? That was the wrong sound. Yeah, it's episode 9. That's 9 weeks on the trot, 9 weeks in a row of committing to these episodes, and hopefully many more to come. But coming back to these exercises.
So pushing the top, my tongue and the roof of my mouth behind my teeth, and relaxing the rest of my body.
And that's supposed to be about centering to help
I'm trying
you.
to remember that for when I am making small adjustments on final, maybe during takeoff, holding the tension here and relaxing the body. Cool.
So this is supposed to be during high workload situations.
Those are my.
During high workload situations, supposed to help you to stay calm, to make finer adjustments. So, what is the verdict? What do you guys think? Did it help my flying, or did it hinder my flying? Did it make it, or did it break it? Well, the verdict is I don't know. Honest truth, I don't know. There's just so many variables when I was flying yesterday. It was bumpy, it was crazy. Having the unexpected flight to Duxford, dealing with Stanstead. And I forgot to monitor these things. I was happy with my visual input though, with my eyes, visual input, and spotting traffic and that kind of thing. I can't say that I was sharper than I've ever been. I don't know, but I felt good. I don't know. I'm gonna need to do it a few more times. I think we'll keep doing the exercises over time and just kind of see. Maybe at some point I will stop doing the exercises and see if it makes a difference. But so the jury's still out on that one. But I would say it can't hurt. It really can't hurt. I definitely feel it when I do the exercises. Like I feel my attention is more on it. And actually, we're going to talk about it today because I read the next chapter, which is sensory input. And this is the performance pilot, skills, techniques, and strategies to maximize your flying performance. All right, so let's talk about sensory input. Now, the whole idea is that sensory input gets processed and that then becomes your performance as a pilot. So the better you improve your input or the senses, the input that's going through the sensors or the data, the better the quality of the information you're getting through your senses, the better you'll be performing. That's the kind of central idea. Now, when it comes to sensory input, they talk about visual input, they talk about kinesthetic input, and they talk about auditory input. Now, I'm going to give you just a super brief on it. It's a bigger chapter than the last one, so I'm just going to give you a brief idea. Now, one of the concepts that they share here is that as a pilot with 20/20 vision, you can actually see less than someone with less quality vision, let's say, because it's not just about having 20/20 vision. It's about being able to process more. So there's peripheral vision that comes into it. There is depth perception that comes into it. There's more that has to be done through the eyes than just being able, like having visual acuity, central visual acuity. And one of the things that they suggest, let's have a look. Let's have a look. This kind of reminded me of something I'd learned some years ago about attention, right? So there are 3 attention systems, apparently, that we have. Your first attention system is like a spotlight, right? It's like tunnel vision, right? It's when you look at one thing or you think about one thing and you're kind of really focused on that. Right? You can focus on the detail. Imagine you're really trying to fine tune something, right? Or let's say you had a splinter in your hand, in your finger stuck, and you're trying to get it out. You're really focused on that one thing, right? That's focused attention. That's like a spotlight. It's one spot, right? And there's another system, which is more like a floodlight. It's kind of like, it's attention that spills over, right? It's not focused in one area. It's kind of open attention, right? Floodlights. And that attention is kind of what happens, let's say, if you're in the dark in the forest somewhere and you hear a strange sound, but you don't know where it's coming from, right? It could be coming from in front of you, behind you, to the side of you, from a diagonal point of view. It could be coming in any direction, right? And so what happens is you're just heightened attention. You're kind of, if something moved there, you'd see it, right? And then obviously when you see it, you then lock in and that's your spotlight. But before that point, it's a floodlight attention, right? And then there's the executor, right? And what the executor does is it mediates between the two. So it controls, now we go focused. Okay, now we open, floodlight. Okay, now we go focused. Okay, now we open, floodlight. Now we go spotlight, floodlight. Spotlight, floodlight. It regulates your attention, right? Which your attention affects what your visual input is. So you can look at something, but if you're not attending to it, you won't see it, right? So one of the exercises that they suggest is, let's say you're driving, even a walk-in can work, right? Where I would describe it as having floodlight attention, where you're not looking at one thing, but you just kind of allow yourself to notice, even where you are now, you can try it out, right? Try looking at something that's in front of you somewhere, right? And just really look at the detail of that. Think about the material it's made out of. Maybe you think about, the texture of it and really trying to figure out the detail, and you can notice how your attention really becomes a spotlight because you're really trying to pick up detail, right? And then what you can do is you can kind of broaden your visual field and kind of look through your peripheral vision. Try and kind of look around without looking around, without moving your eyes, right? So kind of take in everything that's around you. This is how I interpreted that exercise, where it's about kind of opening your gaze. And one of, last week we looked at one of the accidents that happened, and it's because this pilot got fixated on the approach speed at the expense of noticing that he's about to land on a field short of the runway, of the grass strip, and then initiated a let go around. He goes into the hedge and accident happens. And so in that situation, and what I've been trying to practice on my landing is just opening up my visual field and using floodlight attention instead of spotlight attention. Just kind of looking and seeing everything, and just notice as much detail as you can. So right now, there's a light over there, light over there. My camera stand is here, microphone here. I've got my bed there. I've got the shelf behind me. I can just about make out the edge, but I can kind of allow myself to do this. And when you practice this, you teach your brain to notice more details. And that's the idea. Teach your brain to notice more details. And so performance tip is everyday practice being aware, okay? And when I did this the first few times, I could really feel like it was a brain workout. I could feel my brain really working, because, it's easy to kind of just go by and not notice things. In fact, what is it that... Funnily, what coincided with reading this book and this chapter, I went to Tesco, which is a supermarket, and I bought myself a meal deal, and I got nacho cheese wrap, okay? And I put it in my work fridge, right? So at lunchtime, I came in, opened, I saw a boxed wrap. It looks same color, whatever, took it, ate it. As I was chewing on it, I was like, it's slightly different to what I usually have. But I'm just kind of going along, not really paying too much attention. Now, I then finish that, come back to the office, open the fridge to get like fruit or whatever. Then I noticed there's a nacho cheese wrap still in the fridge. Wait, what just happened? So luckily, I still had the packaging of what I had eaten, like stashed in my bag. So I go back to my bag now. I pull it out. Listen, this is real bad. I pull it out and it says chicken Caesar. I was like, wow, like I was really just not paying attention, right? I just noticed the color of the packaging and I was like, yeah, take it. I noticed something different about the taste, but not enough to actually be like, wait, what's this? Like my mind was elsewhere, right? So when I read this chapter and it was talking about as far as your visual input, like taking in the information, I'm like, I should have really looked. So, anyways, I had to go to back to Tesco to buy a chicken Caesar because I'd eaten some of these chicken Caesars. So I had to go back and buy another one and replace it. So that was that. Yeah. But it was apt. It happened at the right time for me to really understand the importance of this. Now, one of the things that they said that can improve your visual focus, thinking speed is juggling. They say juggling for 5 minutes a day can drastically improve your visual sampling rate, thinking speed, focus, and peripheral vision. Improved peripheral vision improves your ability to be attentive and alert by enhancing what you notice around you, right? So juggling, because you kind of can't really look at just one ball, right? You have to have floodlight attention where you can see all the balls and you're tracking all the balls at the same time, which reminds me of an exercise that, oh wait, I might be able to pull it up. 1 second, I might be able to pull it up. One of the exercises that's used in sponsored airline sponsored schemes, assessments. If you've done them before, you know this. So it's something like this, where you got a number. Oh, damn it. Wait. Let me log in. I'll show you guys. Hopefully I still have an account. Yep, I still do. Let's go. Okay, that where you have to guess how many. Where you can't really. Oh, I got that one. Where you can't really just track one ball, you have to be able to look at everything at once. All right. No, I thought that was 10. Damn it. One off. Right, so this is the kind of exercises you do. Okay, I got distracted a little bit because I was talking. And some people just guess this, and I wouldn't blame you for guessing it. But I wouldn't guess it. I don't like guessing. I like estimating. 14 questions. But point being, peripheral vision is important. It's very important, and thinking about developing peripheral vision is also important. It helps with things like, landing and paying attention. Now, there is something about visual input, but I'm sure it will come back to me. What can I say about kinesthetic? Now, kinesthetic, this is about feel, right? And one of the things that they talk about is so interesting, is sensory deprivation, right? Where they say, imagine you lost your sense of sight, right? Would your other senses be amplified, right? They would be, right? Because you have to focus more on them. Or if you deprive yourself, imagine you're listening to audio, right? And I'm kind of jumping into auditory now, but you're listening to audio, but really low, and you're really focused on hearing it. Maybe you're listening to music from a speaker with earmuffs on, right? Or you just turn down the volume. And you then have to work really hard to hear it. But once you take it off, your earmuffs off, or you turn it up, you can hear everything. So actually, one way to improve the sensitivity of your senses is to experiment or play with sensory deprivation. So for example, with touch, with feel, if I wanted to increase my sense, kinesthetic sense, then I could wear gloves, right? And do the same thing that I'm doing, feel something, but through gloves. Now it's going to be less sensory input, which means my senses have to be turned up. And once I do that, and I can barely feel it, but I start to feel, once I take off the gloves, now I can feel even more. So that's the idea behind it. And this is really useful when flying. What kind of things do they mention that would be interesting to know? Apparently wearing shoes, wearing footwear negatively affects the sensory nerve receptors that respond to pressure and touch and movement. So walking barefoot is good for you, is something that they touch on. Let's see, what else? Dramatic. Right, and then we're hearing, like I mentioned, listening to music at a slower pace. And one of the things that they really talk about here is being able to tell what your power setting is by just listening to the engine sound, right? And one of the exercises that you can do for that is to listen to the engine sound, set the power, and then check. Whenever you're kind of making adjustments, you can just listen out to the sound and get a feel for it. Think, okay, am I now at my normal power setting, for cruise? Okay, double check, am I? And then if it is different, if it's too much or too low or too high, then you kind of adjust your perception based on that. Why? Because the more that you can improve the sensory input, because that sound is there, right? And you can use it to improve your performance, or you could just ignore it, right? But you can get to a point where, again, mentioned in the earlier chapters, you want most of your flying to be subconscious, because the conscious mind processes 2,000 bits per second. The unconscious mind, apparently 4 billion bits of data. How they calculated that, I have no clue. But the point is, you don't want to use your conscious mind on everything. And that's why when you first start flying, it's very tiring because everything is new, everything is conscious. Listen to the radios. Okay, oh, more power. Okay, no, they reduced the power. Oh, I'm off the center line now, so I need more right rudder, more left. Whoa, wait, what do they say on the radio? Everything is super conscious, like spotlight attention on everything, and you get tired, and it's not, it's not really the ideal way to fly. Where you want to be is where you're getting all this data, but you've programmed your mind and trained your mind, and that really is mastery, where you don't have to work as hard to perform as good, right? Because it's built into your subconscious now through practice. So these are some of the practices that can help by being able to just tell what power setting you're in, just by listening to the engine sound, right? And that alleviates your workload, because on approach to land, right, because you've been improving the sensory input into through your visual field, you can already tell when you're too low, when you're too high, without even having to look at the altimeter, right? You can just adjust. And one of the things, they've got this graphic, right, which is very interesting graphic. And what they say is, do you think that newer pilots make more mistakes than experienced pilots? What do you think? If you said yes, that newer pilots make more mistakes than experienced pilots, you would be wrong according to this book. What they actually say is that experienced pilots are just better at minimizing those mistakes. That's all it is. Okay, so do you think exceptional pilots make any fewer errors than inexperienced pilots do? We don't think so. The only difference is the experienced pilot is better at minimizing the effects of them. They simply recognize errors earlier due to taking in more sensory input and react to them sooner and in a more subtle way. In other words, they minimize errors. For example, when the experienced pilot makes an error such as flaring too early, they recognize it immediately and make small subtle corrections to either or both of their flare and thrust retardation rates. They make the best of the situation. When a less experienced pilots make the same error, they may not recognize it until they have floated deep into the runway or run out of airspeed and crunched it on. Okay, and so this graphic basically is about saying that pilots who minimize their mistakes have like checkpoints that they're going to hit. And the more checkpoints you have, okay, when I get to here, I need to be this. When I get to be here, at this point, I need to be this height at this speed. At this point, I need to be this height, this speed. The more checkpoints you have, the more opportunities you have to correct yourself, right? You can notice the mistake. Okay, if say from 500 feet to landing, I've got 5 checkpoints, then my first checkpoint is going to allow me to make a subtle correction. Whereas if I only have 2 checkpoints or just 1 checkpoint, I'm going to veer off for a lot longer before I correct myself. So the more checkpoints you have, the earlier you can correct yourself, the quicker you can minimize your mistakes. And I would say, interestingly, this also refers to or resonates with setting goals, right? let's say you set a goal that I'm going to be, get down to a certain weight. Okay, cool. Now, if you review yourself on a daily basis, okay, what choices did I make today? What better choices can I make tomorrow? Then you will catch you will catch yourself going wrong a lot quicker, right? You catch yourself going wrong a lot quicker, and then you can make the correction. But if you say, okay, I'm going to lose 10 kilos, right? But you don't even check yourself for the next year, you might just find yourself in a much, much worse position because you didn't give yourself the opportunity to make the subtle correction. Now you end up having to make a huge correction. Okay, so that's the whole idea, to be more aware, to have more checkpoints mentally, right? Not that you have to read them out, just mental checkpoints, so that you're constantly reviewing and making subtle corrections so that you don't have to make bigger corrections. So, performance tips: the more reference points you have, the fewer errors you make. Another performance tip is minimize errors through maximizing sensory input. The better information your senses provide to the brain, the more sensitive you will be to what the aircraft is doing and what it needs. And the 3 areas is the visual, opening floodlight vision, and practicing taking in all the information without necessarily having to look around, just looking at one direction, but taking in everything that's in the visual field. Then we're talking about your auditory, turning volumes down and trying to hear in difficult situations. And then once you turn it up, you're more, your hearing is more sensitive. It's kind of like turning down the light, right? Your eyes really have to work harder to pick up what's in the room. And then when you turn the light up, it's like your eyes are super sensitive. That's the idea. By dulling the information that's going in, your senses work harder. And then when you remove it, your senses are supercharged and they improve, get even better over time, right? That's the idea. So it's been a very interesting chapter. Very interesting chapter. There's a note on protecting senses with hearing. If you do expose yourself to loud noises for a prolonged amount of time, you will permanently damage your hearing. So just don't be crazy with it. Yeah. So the next chapter is mental programming, and I'll be sharing a little bit about that next week. That was your performance pilot update of the week. All right, let's have a look at the chat. Henry Smith, shout out to you. Henry S. Oh, no, Henry Smith. Yeah. Yes, I'm seeing the chat. I'm all good. How are you doing? Thank you for passing by. I appreciate you being here. Now, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, I said I am going to give you an opportunity to get one of these hats sent out to you. Well, not these exact ones, because these are mine, but you'll get a brand new, fresh Live Your Dream hat sent out to you. What do you have to do? You have to comment on the YouTube video of this episode, episode 9. Comment on the YouTube video. And what I want you to put in the comments is Live Your Dream. I want you to put that, and that will get you into a draw where I'll pick a name out of the hat, and that person will have a hat color of their choice, either blue, classic black, or white, sent out to them for free. So if you want to join that, make sure you drop a comment saying Live Your Dreams on the YouTube channel. Why? Because we like to be generous like that. And I appreciate your generosity Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not been paying attention to some of the latest videos on the YouTube channel, this is your chance to catch up with what's been happening. Check it out.
I've always loved flying.
Hello. Onto the radar. Come on. Well done.
And dancing, there's no denying. If only I could blend the two. I know what I'll do. I'll fly to a new place to dance with a new face. Enjoying the wings a private pilot license brings.
That was a little bit gusty.
Just made a no-fly decision.
Squawk on switch duty, 3-quarter shore.
A different way to our build and advance.
2-0, joy and downwind.
I call it fly to dance.
Full flaps. Ooh, nice one. Flaps come up.
Well, flight man.
Welcome to show.
We have everything in this flight, man.
Everything, bro.
If you've not seen the Fly to Dance episodes yet, you got part 1 and 2 and 3 on the YouTube. Make sure you check that out and drop a comment. Let me know that you got there through Future Pilot 901 Live. Now then, we're nearly at the end of the show. Sadly, we're nearly at the end. But we're not done yet. Okay? We're not done yet. Let's have a quick look at the air safety bulletin that we started looking at last week. It's very insightful, actually. And the whole point, what is the point? What is the point of looking at accidents now? I know you know this, but obviously we might have new people to aviation, and it's very important that we help them get up to speed. Now, in aviation, it is so important to pay attention to the accidents that happen. Why? Because we don't want to have to make a mistake ourselves to learn from it. We can look at the mistakes that others have made, and it's not about blaming them or looking down on somebody, because a lot of the mistakes, anybody could inadvertently make those mistakes and end up in an accident. But the whole point is to learn from each other's mistakes, and that means we can be safer when we're flying and not have to make the mistakes ourselves. So that's the whole point and the spirit with which we look at these things, or at least that's the spirit with which I look at these things. It's up to you how you want to approach it. So last week we had a look at this. I will just help us get back up to speed. This is the AAIB Bulletin, or the Air Accidents Investigation Branch Bulletin for August 2025. And of course, this covers commercial air transport, general aviation, sport aviation, unmanned aircraft systems. But obviously our interest is primarily general aviation. Now, we had last week, we looked at Golf Sierra Papa, and we looked at Golf Whiskey Papa. So today we're going to jump forward to PA28 181. If you want to check that out, the episode's still available on Kick and still available on the YouTube. That's episode 8. So 89 plus... Let's go 89, 92, no, 92. Okay, so actually I'll show you quick photos. So this is what happened. Nose gear, heavy landing, nose wheel was mash up, basically. Then landed and it went over. You can read more about that or watch last episode. And then with a Golf Whiskey Papa, landed short, thought this was a field, but actually it was there, and did a late go around, ended up veering left and going into this hedge. I believe the plane has been written off, which is sad. So let's have a look at this. What happened to this aircraft? Ooh. Yikes. Yikes. And this is Golf Julia Alpha Charlie Sierra. Now, let's see some of the details about this. Piper PA-28181. I've flown this a few times. Lovely aircraft to fly. Much faster than your Cessna 152 or even 172. It's got Lycoming engine. It's a piston engine, 1997 year of manufacture. This happened on the 27th of April 2025 at 2 p.m. Falmere Aerodrome, Cambridgeshire. Type of flight was private. There was one crew with minor injuries. So thank goodness for that. We will never want to see people injured, let alone, we never want to see people seriously injured, let alone injured at all. Nature of the damage: prop was destroyed and the engine shock loaded. Damage to engine cowling, right and left wings. Building struck by the aircraft also damaged. Commander's license was a PPL. Commander's age was 72. Experience is 219 hours, 153 on type. Last 90 days he had 3 hours, and last 28 days he had 0. Ooh. Okay. Air accident report form submitted by the pilot. Thank you. So the aircraft's engine started at an unexpectedly high power setting caused by the throttle being set excessively open. Again, these are things that could happen to anyone at any point with just attention being diverted, briefly somewhere else. It could happen. So it's good to know what the outcome, potential negative outcome might be, so that we know, remember the reasons why to avoid it. The pilot maneuvered the aircraft but did not retard the throttle or apply the brakes. Okay, so he's got too much power. He started the aircraft. The aircraft is moving, and he's trying to direct the aircraft. Oh, damn it. What's happening? But he forgets to pull back on the throttle or even hit the brakes. So this accident highlights the importance of correctly following aircraft checklists, and also the need to manipulate, or rather to anticipate, an unexpected outcome during a routine task such as engine start. So what are the important parts of this? Right. So and I've flown that aircraft before, so I know vaguely what the checklist looks like. Before you start, there will be parking brake, setting the parking brake on. You go through your correct fuel tank selected, you go through mixture, going rich, throttle 1/4 inch open usually, and then feet on the brakes, right, to get started. So when you go through the checklist, you're good. When you start going off checklist and you forget little details, then you end up in trouble. It reminds me of a conversation I had with 777 captain, American Airlines. And if I remember correctly, one of the things that he said, is complacency, right? It's a killer, because, I know this. Nah, complacency is a killer. So each time going through the checklist, listing it out, doing it step by step is a good idea. And sometimes people come up with their own way, their own flow, their own kind of checklists. For example, I never look at the pre-landing checklists because from before I did my first solo, so that's probably 100 hours ago, from where I am now, I'm on about 117, 120 hours. So about 110 hours ago, I memorized my pre-landing checklist, and I never look because I recognize that that is a high workload situation, especially if you're doing circuits, especially if you're doing circuits in a PA28, 181, or even 161, right? And so I want to get through the checklist quickly, so I've committed it to memory. But it's so important to use your checklist and to have all the elements of the checklist in to avoid situations like that. And if you think you're okay, well, that's what can happen. And again, it can happen to anybody. Just, you know. So last episode, we watched a pilot debrief, which is just incredible on accidents. In fact, I will show them to you. And if you're not subscribed to his channel, what are you doing with your life? Like, really? I would say, you know, sort your life out and be subscribed to Pilot Debrief, because he's got the best, in my opinion, some of the best debriefs ever on Internet. I just found it for you. Close that. I've got like a million tabs open. Stop sharing. Let me share this instead. Pilot debrief. Yeah, got amazing. What did we watch? I think we watched this one. Yes, that's the one we watched. Really good way of explaining accidents. And one of the things that comes up is I don't know if this is correct. I might be like fudging this a little bit, but it's normalized deviance, right? Where you kind of don't do something the right way, but nothing goes wrong. So you kind of start thinking, well, maybe I can just do that. I can, like, it's not a problem. Last time, I didn't have to use the checklist to start up. Like, I was fine. So why do I need a checklist to start up? You normalize it and you normalize it and you normalize it. And so slowly over time, the risk increases. Why? Because like we know from the Swiss cheese model, if you've never heard of the Swiss cheese model, it's RIP to the guy that came up with it. I think he died earlier this year. Swiss cheese model. This is the Swiss cheese model. So look, each of these slices of Swiss cheese is a layer of safety, right? And I guess one way I think of it is this could be like my pre-start checklist. This could be my power checks. This could be my pre-takeoff checks, right? So imagine I don't even use the checklist. So I make an error, right? So that goes through the Swiss cheese model, but I catch it later, right? Maybe I catch through the power settings. Oh, damn, like there's something I hadn't done that I now caught. For example, maybe at the beginning, I missed out. I didn't remove some kind of control lock, or I don't know, remove the pitot cover or something. But then later on, I catch it. Okay, now I'm safe because of the second layer, which is the next checklist, right? But imagine over time, you deviate from the checklist. It just requires one day for it to align. Maybe on that day, he's tired more than usual. Maybe on that day, he's parked up, you know, on an incline or a decline. Maybe on that day, you know, the winds are stronger, and that's the day that he happened to not use the checklist. And so what he might have done naturally, he doesn't do naturally, and that ends up in too high a power setting. Maybe that day he's not feeling as great, you know, because this could be health. You're in perfect health, so that's a safety mechanism, right? Boom, it stops here. Your mistakes stop because you're healthy. Whereas you're not healthy as you normally are. Maybe you've got a slight ailment. So you miss out something basic, and then you don't do the checklist, and then something saves you. Or you could be on this trajectory where all the holes line up. So what you don't want to do is have normalized deviance, or I think that's what it's called. I might have to fact check myself, but that's what it's called, or that's the concept. And so we go back to replace screen sharing. We go back to this, and it seems like that's what happened. So what's the underlying message? Stick to the checklist and never get tired of the checklist. Always do it like new. Always do it like new. So that's where it ended up. That's a shame, over something really small. And so, again, note to self. Conclusion: the throttle was set excessively open prior to engine start, resulting in an unexpected high power setting when the engine had started. It's likely the parking brake was not fully applied, allowing the aircraft to move following the engine start. The pilot did not retard the throttle or apply the brakes, and the aircraft struck a building, causing minor injuries to the pilot and significant damage to the aircraft and building. Imagine if there happened to be somebody standing in front of the building. That could have ended. So thankfully, no one was injured, and the pilot only had minor injuries. So yeah, that's very fortunate. Very fortunate. Well, of course, if you want to read all the rest of the details, feel free to have a look at the AAIB Bulletin of August 2025. And that brings us to the last one in the general aviation category, which is, although coming back to this though, interestingly, they don't give a reason as to why the throttle was excessively open, right? Because if I was debriefing the flight, that's what I would think. I think, okay, oh damn, it goes back to the engine, the throttle being excessively open. But the question is, why was the throttle excessively open? Did I bump it? Did I set it too high? Am I, what happened? I can't even venture a guess as to what happened. Maybe they didn't check it. And if the parking brake wasn't fully applied, I think, again, this is the importance of the checklist. But I wonder what the pilot would say about why the throttle was excessively open. Right, so it brings us to Delta Echo Kilo Kilo Echo. So this, 1 second, serious incident. This is categorized as a serious incident, as well as the one we read before. Is there a photo? No, there's no photo. Okay. Aircraft type and registration: Piper PA-28 Comanche. Lycoming engine, piston engine, 1958 aircraft, and this happened on the 14th of March 2025 at 17:34 hours. Okay. Location: Solent Airport, Hampshire. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Search. Give me just a second. Solent Airport. Okay, I can't find it there. One sec. Solent Airport, Hampshire. Okay. Let me share this with you guys so you can see it. Okay. Window. Solent Airport, Hampshire. Where is that? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Next to Portsmouth. Got ya. Okay. Let's go back to the document now that I know where it is. Winda. Type of flight, private. Crew, 1 on board, 1 passenger. Injuries, none. Nature of damage, collapsed undercarriage, damage to underside of fuselage and propeller. Pilot, commander license, PPL, commander age 56, commander's flying experience 2,137 hours, 65 on type, 8 hours and 90 days, 3 hours and 28 days. So what happened here is pretty short. After a short local flight, Delta Echo Kilo Kilo Echo was on approach to runway 05 at Solent Airport when the landing gear light did not illuminate when the gear was selected down. After several attempts to lower the landing gear, normally the pilot used the emergency procedures and the control tower visually confirmed the landing gear was down. The pilot recalls hearing the gear lock on extension and so continued with a normal landing. The aircraft touched down, but during the latter stage of the landing roll, the gear slowly collapsed and the aircraft slid on its underside approximately 100 meters. Pilot and passengers exited the aircraft unaided and without injury. Okay. So that's an interesting one. But looks like they got away with that. Thankfully, it's a gear issue. That's the thing with retractable gears, though. It could be an issue. It's something to bear in mind. And to be safe, it's something to imagine going wrong and to think about what you would do in the case it does go wrong. Okay. All right, people. Well, that brings us to the end of the show, where now we look into some of our favorite aviation YouTubers. This week I have got Flight Chops, and I've got a lot of love for Flight Chops, particularly because he shouted me out early on in my journey, and I really appreciated that. Back in COVID times, he asked people to send a video, and he featured one of my videos on his channel as part of the medley of videos, so I'm very grateful for that. But he made a mistake. Speaking of mistakes, he also made a mistake. Alex did. But it's all about learning from it. So let's see what he had to say. I've not watched this before, by the way, so I'm seeing this for the first time.
All right, first crash landing in this thing. Do I have to do it? No. But I got a tail dragger, so I could do this.
Landing on a beautiful grass strip is one of the most amazing experiences you can have as a pilot, and I selected the RV14 airframe because it's good at a lot of things, but the wheel pants are so low profile that I just kind of got in my head about avoiding doing it and hadn't done it. And this is like the 5th year of having the airplane fly. Such low clearance combined with a relatively fast landing speed mean the risk is high for a wheel pant to dig in, which literally happened to a friend of mine in his RV14 the following day, leading to this situation. And in a worst case scenario, the shrapnel from a damaged wheel pant could jam your brake or wheel, causing a loss of control or worse, a rollover, not unlike what happened to my friend Ryan after his forced landing in a soft field. August 15th was a good flying day. 2 training flights for this year's Sportsman Known sequence, and my first landing on an unpaved runway in this airplane. I mean, I knew it should be possible, of course. That's why I got the airplane. I wanted a tail dragger that I could land places that weren't just paved. I'm not gonna go rough, soft fields or anything, but an amazing aspect of this airplane is how good it is at cross-country flying. It's an awesome IFR platform with excellent performance. I'm often seeing over 180 knots true airspeed, and frequently I'm seeing ground speeds well over 200. But getting back to what we're doing today, probably my favorite thing this airplane can do is aerobatics. So today I've got my friend Ryan coaching me from the ground, and this is definitely the best way to practice.
A little bit lower than usual, but let's see how this goes.
I usually aim to dive into the box from 3,000 feet AGL. Center box is at the end of the grass strip.
Think rate.
And Ryan is about where the judges would be by those hangars.
Think rate. Pull up.
Steve, it's traffic. Knock it off for a second.
Knock it off.
Traffic at your 2 o'clock.
Got it. I was going right at him. Wow.
CRM is so slow. So.
Oh, there you go.
Anything?
And that's why we coach.
Exactly right.
Because I was looking at my wingtip, right? I wasn't looking. As soon as I looked straight ahead, he was right there.
Yeah, this is the best way to learn acro. Like, because you should be focused on flying, and then we can do the traffic management for you.
That was something. I don't even think I saw him on my scope here. He's still not there. I got my scope at 2 and 6 miles.
Maybe a new transponder?
Yep.
If you're interested in seeing a coached run-through of the IAC 2025 known sequence, stick around to the end. But this episode exists because I was sharing some posts while flying on that day, and a lot of people didn't fully understand why I was so concerned about grass landing in this airplane.
So that's what I'm talking about. They have clearance, but not much. Like, I can get my hand under there, but it's low. That's why this airplane is so fast.
So this grass strip is at the farm where Ryan and his partners have their Sukhoi 26 based. This is the airplane that Ryan had his engine failure in, and they've been slowly but surely working on repairs, getting that airplane back into airworthy condition. It's nearly ready to fly. Today they were doing ground runs, and it's pretty impressive to watch how much fuel that thing burns at high power settings. The logistics for today were that I had the RV-14 based at an airport near Toronto, which isn't very far from the farm. So I flew directly there for the first coach flight, and then went for a planned lunch break in Guelph, which is kind of between where I had the airplane based and the farm. Ryan had invited me to stop at the farm after the first coach flight, but I had my heart set on the clubhouse sandwich in Guelph, and I also wanted to think hard about if I wanted to land there. I had done an inspection pass before leaving after the first coach flight, and then when I landed in Guelph, I sent Ryan this photo showing him just how close the wheel pants are even when they're on concrete. But he and the guys confirmed that I had enough clearance to make it work there. And to be clear, yes, I can take these wheel pants off, but it takes 30 plus minutes to do it. It looks really goofy, and my testing has confirmed that I lose about 18 knots with them not installed, as the gear leg fairings have to come off too because they're anchored to the wheel pants. That said, I do remove them for winter ops to be safe and avoid this type of situation. But anyways, I'm pretty confident.
That's interesting to know.
With the airplane, I'm familiar with it, and I was able to set myself up for a good, effective soft field technique. So the grass is short and it's very dry here, so I knew the ground was going to be hard. I still did a soft field technique just in case. Plus I had guys on the ground to give me good intel, made it low risk. So I went for it and it was smooth. Okay, so there's all my thought process. Let's get on board for real-time pattern and landing, and you tell me how I handled it.
And Fergus traffic, Charlie Go Alpha, Yellow RV3.
Just saying, last time, a couple of episodes ago, we watched some thoughts on Oshkosh. And one second. Some thoughts on Oshkosh. And one of the things that they were talking about was how, people really like the channel Flight Chops because he's honest about his mistakes. He puts it out there. And funny enough, before the flight to Duxford yesterday, Khaled and I were talking about how people make mistakes. Pilots make mistakes all the time, but sometimes people don't talk about their mistakes. Hey, fair enough. Sometimes they have good reasons to not kind of self-dry snitch. But that can make newer pilots think, that no one else has made that mistake. Like they're the first person. I'll give you a perfect example. I was checking the fuel manually and I had a dipstick. And for the first time ever in nearly 5 years of flying, I dropped the dipstick into the fuel tank, right? And I'm thinking, oh man, I've now got to call the engineers and tell them like I dropped the dipstick into it. I was like, like I'm literally the only person that's done this. Like, this is such a dumb thing. How does this even happen? Again, like something I've done many a time, right? And I've never had this. I called them, I'm like, hey, look, this is what happened to this aircraft. It's got a dipstick inside. And they're like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. I'll get that fixed for you. It's fine. I was like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, you're not the first one and you won't be the last one. And that just put me at ease because like, okay, all right, I thought I was like the only idiot to have done that. But apparently there's lots of idiots. There are lots of idiots around. So there you go. So I'm very glad that he's, putting up the things that went wrong. And I try to do it the same as well on my YouTube channel, just sharing my mistakes so that when people do make mistakes, and there's a difference between having a bad attitude and making a genuine mistake. There's a difference between having a macho attitude, having, being against authority, having complacency, or the hazardous attitudes. Let me have a look at that again. What are the hazardous attitudes? Do you guys know what the hazardous attitudes are? The hazardous attitudes. What are they? So, there are 5 of them. There are 5 hazardous attitudes. Anti-authority, no one can tell me nothing. Impulsivity, let's just do it. Invulnerability, it never happened to me. I never use a checklist. I'm always fine. Like, it doesn't matter. Come on, let's just go. Like, it's cool. Right? Macho attitude, I can do it. Even if no one else can, I can do it. Resignation, giving up, right? So these are the 5 hazardous attitudes in case you did not know, right? So as long as you make a mistake, but you made a mistake with a good attitude, then, that's okay. That's part of the journey and you just got to learn from it. And so, yeah, I appreciate that people do put their mistakes up, and I try to put mine up as well, so that hopefully somebody else can learn from my mistakes so that they don't have to make the same mistakes themselves. Anyways, back
miles to the southeast. I'll actually come over to the field for the turnaround and then join the vid left downwind 23 full stop Fergus. Do you guys see any traffic out there? I got somebody on the scope 1,000 feet below, 2 miles in front of me, but I don't see him. Looks like he's heading west.
I hear him, but I don't see him.
Okay, I got him in sight, straight off my nose. See what he's doing.
So that aircraft did continue heading that direction, and I just kept this turned tight to stay away from him and then set up for the pattern. So I'll play this now, split screen, uncut.
Unlimited energy with Fuse is simple. You pay the
getting that ad revenue. By the way, if you've not subscribed to Flight Shops, go to Flight Shops, hit that subscribe button because he's got some great videos. Let's get his followers up. Even though I need more followers than he does. But I like to shout out people who are doing good work, man. So shout out to Flight Shops.
Fergus traffic, Chaco Valvo over at the field. Just about to join the mid, left downwind, 2-3, full stop, Fergus.
And just be advised, Steve, that the crop line's about 2 feet high.
Sorry, say again, you mean the crops on the side?
Affirmative, 2 feet high.
Roger.
So from this point forward, I'm pretty quiet. I'm definitely adopting the aviate, navigate, communicate doctrine. Don't even make any further radio calls, which isn't ideal, but I also was pretty confident there was no traffic and I had guys on the ground. So I was really just going to make sure that this was my best soft field landing ever. With that in mind, this kind of pressure shouldn't be how you feel normal ops. So again, this is leaning toward my decision making to not do this as a regular practice. It's just too much pressure that you have to do a perfect landing for it to go well.
S undercarriage mixture, prop switches, I'm secure. First grass landing. Be nice and slow, treat it like a soft field. A little bit high, so I'm going to be a little wide here. Full flaps. Got power cables over that road. We're 75.
That road coming up perpendicular to the runway has a set of power lines, so that's dictating my approach angle, but my plan is to get above them and then get down steeper right to the threshold. I had the power off about this point, but I decided to give it a little blip here, which was probably more than needed, but I wanted to make the 3-point touch as soft as possible. And I just kept the stick back and gently got on the brakes, but I did not want to brake too hard and have the wheels dig in.
Can't complain about that. Flaps up. Did exactly what I wanted to do. Maybe a hitch high on the flare, but I wanted to definitely give it a bit of power to cushion it in, so I can't complain about that.
But even taxiing on a fairly good condition strip is risking damaging the wheel pants. You can see as I hit a little bit of a divot here, the wheel pants are definitely coming in direct contact with the ground. So all that to say, after this debrief and seeing this footage, and my friend's bad experience landing an RV-14 on grass the next day, I have decided that this was my first and last grass landing with this airplane, at least with the wheel pants installed.
What's up, buddy? Yeah. Nice, man. Last land.
First grass landing in this thing.
You got like 200 space. You got this much, Steve.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks, man.
I definitely want to have my own aircraft.
Oh, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah.
A flight taildragger.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted. Yeah, I just held it there, gave it a little cushion. It's like 3-pointer. Yeah.
It's bumpy, eh?
No, it's good shape. I mean, it was bumpy for this gear, but it's as good as it's going to get for grass. After a quick visit to see how things were going with the Sukhoi, I launched for another practice flight, and as promised, here's an uncut run-through of the sequence. Technically, it's supposed to be 3 wing wags when diving in, but the RV-14 gets really heavy on the controls when I'm fast, so I just do 2. This one-turn spin went well.
Pull up.
Beautiful.
But I didn't hold the down line long enough.
Pull up.
Not enough in the oven.
You'd hear Ryan say go just as I was grunting, but I was too slow really. I want to be 160 or faster to have a good implement, and that's why I struggled with this roll.
Off heading.
Take your time. Remember, the 180 is a good positioning figure for figure 5, so make sure you put figure 5 right in front of me. Slow down.
I need to be fairly slow for figure 5, which is the goldfish. It starts with a 45-degree downline, and I'm still struggling to hit that.
Go.
I don't have ratchet straps, so negative G's are interesting.
Great.
In terms of G's, I'm usually seeing a maximum of 5.5 positive and minus 1.5 negative, and I get up to speeds of 180 knots indicated at times.
Think rate. Pull up.
And the controls are very heavy at these speeds. Here's what my watch had to say the morning after waking up from 2 half-hour flights like this.
Think rate. Pull up. Pull up.
So that was interesting. Look at his decision making with regards to his aircraft, where he's going to land, how he's going to go about it, all the checks and things that he had in place with people there, and making sure that it's going to be a safe thing, and then executing it. But what is the experiment? I don't know. Did I miss something? Because what is the experiment that he would never try?
Yeah.
What is
the shot? Keep the nose up.
There's something else we should hit.
We'd been working for about 20 minutes up until that point, and I'll let you place your bets if Ryan was going to let me off the hook or not just yet. Please leave comments if you have questions.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting thing with the unsafe departure from AirVenture. Everyone was talking about it. But yeah, that brings us to the end of today's show. Please do remember that if you would like to get yourself a Live Your Dream hat, drop a comment, not in the chat, but a comment on the YouTube video of this episode, episode 9. To be in with a chance of winning yourself a Live Your Dream hat. Your name will be entered into a draw if you type in Live Your Dream into the comment section, and the winner of the draw would get to choose a blue Live Your Dream hat, classic black, or my favorite, the white Live Your Dream hat, for absolutely nothing, just as an appreciation to you for being here. Anyways, I hope today was useful. I hope you've learned something. I certainly have. All these episodes are usually learning experiences, and I'm hoping that the more I learn, the more I practice this, the better pilot I'll become, and the more attainable my dream becomes, and hopefully we can achieve together, right? There's nothing that brings me joy or that can rival me achieving my own dreams, like seeing somebody else achieve theirs. So thank you for being here, and I'm wishing you wishing you well for the week, and hoping that you... I just got distracted. Sorry guys. Apologies. I got a bit. These devices, they're the devil. These devices are the devil. Listen, I get on the train every day. Slight tangent. I get on the train every day, and when I look at people, I like to watch people. Everyone's like this on the train. Meanwhile, I'm listening to something, but I'm watching people. Anyways, I got distracted. Sorry guys. My apologies. Anyways, where was I? I was ending the show. Yeah, so I hope you have a productive week. I hope that whatever you do, that you take those steps towards achieving your dreams. So thank you. Remember, Future Pilot 901 is live every Monday. Next week, we're back to Mondays. Today was just a temporary thing, and I wanted to make sure I got the episode in. I didn't want to miss it just because I was flying. I'd be super consistent with these so that you know that you can rely on me to be here. But Future Pilot 901 Live is live on a Monday, 7 p.m. British Summertime, live on YouTube channel Future Pilot 901 and on Kick Future Pilot 901. So make sure you tune in next time. If there's something in particular that you want me to talk about, please drop it in the comments and I will be sure to respond. Yes, I do respond to every comment and it's me responding it, not my team. All right, people. Well, with that said, until next time, this is Future Pilot 901 and my name is Dee, and I'm reminding you above everything to live your dreams. Peace.
Man, from living in my car to finally getting my trial flight done.
Hold it.
To being in this moment. Come on. Well done. Was it worth the sacrifice? Oh man.
Flat. Pull back. Hey, pull back more. Hold it there. Pull back.
Switching to Southern radar 130.
A bit more.
Listen. Was it worth the sacrifice?
So, power right on. Step to line.
Listen, if you have a dream, it's down to you to make it happen, man. You might give it everything and it might still not work, but guess what? The journey makes you a better, stronger person. Can you imagine what kind of person you would become if you didn't pursue the one thing that you thought was the best thing in the world? You didn't pursue it. What kind of person does that make you after 20, 30 years of doing that? But when you chase what you believe is the most valuable, the most beautiful, the most awesome thing that you can do, and you give it everything, win or lose, you become a better person.